Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited to share with you some fall-inspired meals and desserts. So I hope you're ready for some comfort food and some good fall vibes. Of course, I'm starting with a coffee, and I made some homemade whipped cream to go on top. I'm also going to be using it for my apple pie later in the video. And if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you hit the subscribe button today. Let's jump into our first recipe. I'm making a pumpkin roll, and I'm going to try to make these recipes super quick, simple, and easy to follow. And I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Alright guys, it does not get any easier than this recipe. We are just mixing up all of the wet ingredients with a whisk, and then we are going to whisk in the dry ingredients. So next you're going to line a standard baking sheet with a piece of parchment paper and pour your batter over the top, spread it out evenly, and bake at 375 for 13 to 14 minutes. And then when you take it out, let it cool a couple minutes. You're going to put a towel on top of it, flip it upside down, remove your parchment paper, and then you're just going to use that towel to roll it up while it's still somewhat warm, and then let it cool in that position in the towel so that it's easier to mold and roll. Okay, so once it has cooled down in the towel, you're going to unroll it. You're going to spread your filling over it evenly, and then you're going to roll it back up, and it's done. It's so easy, but I do recommend popping it in the refrigerator for a good hour before slicing into it. It just makes it look a lot nicer. But I hope you guys like this recipe. I love to make these rolls. I love to make a vanilla one, a chocolate one, and then of course during the fall I love to make a pumpkin roll.
And I love you now when I don't know you are. Is this what we are? Is this what we are? I let you move out of my heart. I let my wounds heal as a start. Why?
The first thing we're going to do is make the crust for our apple pie today. And I'm going to use my food processor, and I want to make these recipes really fast. I don't want you to get bored. I don't want it to be some long, drawn-out video. So we're going to go through the recipes super fast. For the crust, we are using 2 cups of flour, 2 sticks of butter, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, a pinch of salt, and 6 to 8 tablespoons of cold water. First, I'm just pulsing together the flour and sugar and salt, and then I'm going to add in the butter, and then pulse it until it gets nice and crumbly, and then I'm going to add the 6 to 8 tablespoons of cold water until it forms into the perfect dough.
I get a little bit breathless, my thoughts are too big. Can I get some comfort, please? I guess I should have been honest. It breaks in my heart like a river that's overflowed. The sooner you know it, the less do we hurt. Let me speak the truth. I know you don't wanna face it. You think it's too late, but I can see past the rain. Won't you let?
Alright, so next up we are making the filling for the apple pie. So I'm just melting a 1/4 cup of butter with 3 tablespoons of flour, and then I'm just going to stir it on medium until it gets nice and melted. And then I'm going to add in 1 cup of brown sugar slowly and just keep stirring over that medium heat. And then I'm just adding in a 1/4 cup of water, and I'm just going to kind of whisk it over medium for a couple minutes and then turn the heat off and let it cool down.
So bottom up, please. We're gonna get over this. I see the smoke in the mirrors. I'm holding the key, one step away from salvation.
So I'm gonna let that sauce cool on the stove, and I'm going to slice up my apples, and here is the dough that's going to be for the top of the pie crust that I need to roll out and slice into strips. So I need to chop my apples.
Hold me like this is the first time. Our destiny calls, not leaving this incomplete. Won't you lay it on me? Turn the page and burn it. Let's make up a big bonfire on the beach with the stars as our lighter.
Okay, so I chopped up 7 apples and I topped them with 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, and I'm just gonna mix them all together and put it in my pie crust. And then I'm going to pour over that delicious filling on the top, and then use the remainder of the dough to roll it out and cut strips to make that lattice design on top of the apple pie. Now, I am not a pie maker, so all of you expert pie makers out there, if you're watching, please leave me a comment below and give me tips on how to do that top lattice design with the dough on top of the pie, because I think that I always break the rules with baking, and I think I was supposed to chill it for a certain amount of time and then roll it out, but it took me a good 3 or 4 times to make the top of the pie, and I still broke it into several pieces. So it ended up looking terrible, but it tasted amazing. But if you have tips, leave them in the comments down below. I would really appreciate it. Okay, so next I am making a delicious fall pasta. First, I am just boiling some water and then salting that water, adding in 1 full bag of rigatoni,
And then I'm going to cut up my butternut squash. I'm going to roast it. So I'm going to cut it up, cut it into cubes, and then on a baking sheet, I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and olive oil and bake it for about 20 to 25 minutes at 400 degrees until it's nice and tender. Next, I'm adding just a little slab of butter to a saute pan, and I'm going to add 1 chopped up sweet onion, and then I'm going to add salt and Italian seasoning, and then I'm adding some sausage. So I'm adding 5 links of mild Italian sausage. It's chicken sausage, but I'm just breaking open the links and then just adding it in. So I think it's equivalent to about 1 pound of sausage, but you can use pork sausage, you can use beef, or you could use vegan sausage. I like to use the chicken. It's a mild Italian chicken sausage, but I'm just going to cook that in with the onions and break it up until it's fully cooked. And then I'm adding 1 cup of chicken broth and just simmer that all together for a couple minutes and then turn it off, when it's all the way cooked through. So I'm draining my pasta here, and I'm just going to put it in a bowl, and then I'm just going to pour over that chicken sausage mix right on top of the pasta, and then I'm going to add my butternut squash right on top, and then I'm going to add about a half a block of cheese. I like to add, I love, my favorite cheese is a cheddar Parmesan cheese, but use whatever cheese you like. Use a bag of shredded cheese. And then if you want it a little cheesier, add as much as you'd like. I'm going to add about half of a block, and then I'm going to stir it all together, and then I'm adding about a 1/4 cup of half and half, or you can use heavy cream, and then just stir that all in, and then we're going to pour it into our casserole dish, top it with a little more shredded Parmesan cheese, and then bake it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. And this dish is so satisfying, and it just tastes like fall. It looks like fall. Your kids will love it too. It's just an all-around great dish. Okay, so next we are making pumpkin muffins, and these are so simple. You're just gonna add all of your wet ingredients together, and you can just use a whisk. You don't have to use a fancy mixer or anything, just a plain whisk, and then slowly add in your dry ingredients, add your chocolate chips in last, and then it makes 12 perfect fluffy pumpkin muffins. You're gonna bake these muffins at 375 degrees for about 20 minutes, but check them, you might need 20 to 25 minutes. At first, when I took these muffins out, I thought, oh, they seem a little bit dry, but once they sat for a little while, they were actually the most moist, delicious muffins. So I think you'll really enjoy this recipe. And guys, leave me a like if you are totally feeling all the fall vibes, if you are feeling cozy and ready for the comfort food and ready for fall.
Don't be a stranger in the night. Take a chance for some romance. Don't cover your eyes. Willow trees know you better than anyone else. It's time you let your guard down for someone like me. I'd say I'm settled and pretty calm. I Don't storm in the storm. If not me, then someone like me that knows what to do and how to take care of you. But most of all, that deserves you. The sweetest red cheese I'd ever seen.
All right, guys, so last I'm making probably the simplest recipe of them all, some crock pot chicken. I'm adding in a package of chicken thighs right into the bottom of my crock pot here. And then in a saute pan, I'm just adding a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to add 3 cloves of garlic chopped and about a half of a sweet onion chopped as well. Stir that up with a little bit of salt and Italian seasoning. Let it cook on medium heat for about 5 minutes. Add a half a cup of chicken broth and then 1 cup of either heavy cream or half and half. I used half and half because that's what I had. So go ahead and stir that. Let that simmer for about 5 minutes on medium. Turn off the heat. And then I'm adding a half a block of Parmesan cheese, or obviously you can get pre-shredded Parmesan cheese, add about a half a cup. And then I'm just seasoning the chicken with salt and Italian seasoning as well. And I'm gonna pour that mixture right over top of the chicken. And then my daughter had dance, so this was perfect. I made it ahead of time because I had to take her to dance and I had some errands to run. So I just cooked this on high in the crock pot for 3 hours and then let it sit for about a half an hour on warm after it was done cooking, and it was perfect. And then I went ahead and boiled 1 bag of small yellow potatoes until they were cooked and tender with a fork. So then once the chicken was done, I added 3 handfuls of baby spinach, and then I added those potatoes, stirred it all together, and the chicken started to break up. That's how I knew it was definitely done, and it kind of coated the potatoes, and it was the perfect texture. And then I added a jar of sliced sun-dried tomatoes, or you can add roasted red peppers. I actually think it might be better with roasted red peppers. And then stir that all together. And guys, that's it. That's your meal. And it's so delicious. It's creamy, it's satisfying. You can always add a little bit more Parmesan cheese on top. Like, I like to garnish everything. But this is just an overall win. You know, it'll go over well with the kids usually as well. And it was so easy. You just throw it all in the crock pot, add a couple things, and voila, it's done. A super cozy comfort food, perfect for fall time. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end of the video. I really hope you liked the recipes, but most of all, I hope you got into that fall vibe. I hope you're ready for the change of season and to enjoy some more comfort foods and warming foods and all of that good stuff. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Thanks.
That he deserves you. It's funny how my heart is wired. It doesn't make any sense to me.